Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Since in my last lecture I have given an introduction of the most important piece of legislation, which is said to be the Code of Civil Procedure 1908. Certainly, that last lecture was pertaining to mainly definitional clause as contained under section 2 of that code. And through this lecture, we would proceed further. But in this respect, I would suggest all the young lawyers, aspirants for appearing in the forthcoming competitive examination of civil judges cum judicial magistrates, students of law in whose outline of syllabus this subject has been referred. I believe, and you will bear me out, it would be, inshallah, by the grace of God, beneficial for all of them, even for the sake of general information pertaining to our system in vogue with regard to civil law. Sir Earl Richard, almost more than 110 years back, on the basis of a select committee which was headed by him, a Britisher, carried on this wondrous task to bring a system for functioning of the civil courts primarily and the adjudication of civil disputes, civil suits. So what you will have to keep in mind with complete dedication and devotion to grasp this significant code, not by way of cramming, and that which is a kind of memorization by cramming, it is always disastrous. For the time being, you may retain something in your mind, but it would fade away unless you concentrate in understanding the tenor, the objective and the purpose of this very code. So this would be my rather very humble suggestion to my viewers and listeners and prospective candidates for any competitive examination of particularly either of the civil judge cum judicial magistrate, which has been scheduled from 17th of November 2020, and of the additional district and session judges, which has for the time being deferred. In the new date shall also be announced by the Honorable Lahore High Court. It's very simple mechanism. You hypothetically presume yourself to be a person who is aggrieved of wrongdoing of some other, which gives rise to civil action, civil proceedings, as postulated under this code. Normally we say a person who is an aggrieved party, he or she may be one plaintiff being aggrieved of transgression of his right, civil right. Supposedly somebody had obtained some money as loan, you owed that money, he owed that money, whoever he or she may be, and a suit for recovery is filed. If declaration is required as postulated substantive law, which is said to be Specific Relief Act 1887, that can be filed. Suit for possession, somebody has taken into his possession property under your ownership. Suit for possession is instituted under section 8(9) of that very act. But the complete mechanism, methodology and process of instituting a suit is laid down in this very code. Notwithstanding the fact that for this more than 100 years that was adopted by Pakistan after emergence on 14th of August 1947 as an independent country. But as the Britishers ruled this whole subcontinent and even other many Commonwealth countries, which is said to be, but for this region, Mr. Sir Earl Richard drafted this very code. So if you have the cause of action, any reason and justification which leads you to take action which is not penal in nature, but if somebody has caused bodily injury, then other law would, criminal law would come into operation to rescue you for redressal of your grievance. But as I have briefly stated about certain manifestations of wrongdoing, like if somebody has committed a tort which gives rise to civil wrong, then remedy is available for filing of a suit for damages. You want compensation for the wrongful act of some other person, then the process and mechanism is filing of the. So firstly, and the sections as postulated in the first portion of CPC, there are as many as 158 sections, whereas there are 51 orders and the rules. Let us first understand what is the difference between these two portions. Sections connotes and indicates the substantive provisions of law, wherein reference of filing of civil suit to institute the civil suit under section 9 has been given. But who is the aggrieved? Who will become the plaintiff? Either one or two, against whom he or she intends to institute the suit. So, foremost job for the pleader, for the lawyer, to whom an aggrieved person approaches with this frame of mind, with this bent of mind, then it would be, first of all, after hearing him and examining him, scrutinizing his version, would move forward. So, order 1 with some rules, we will not go into nitty-gritty. This is just an overview. You will definitely go through the CPC, but my purpose here is just to sensitize you in a very brief and precise manner by obviating this impression from your minds. Nothing is difficult for you, but you should have the will, you should have the devotion, you should have the temperament to sit, to learn. And I also don't want you should be information gatherer. Be knowledge seeker. If you will be knowledge seeker, then you will understand the arrangement and scheme of this code very easily, and it will become a plain sailing for you, not Herculean task. Sometimes we sit and ponder over it. I can't do it. I am unable to understand. So, developing the reading habits for such like important exam is the sine qua non. Should be the focus point of your focus and emphasis. So, the order 1 rule deals with the, then against whom? Who are the defendant? Which court has the territorial jurisdiction from section 9 to onward up to 21? These references have been given. Then those complementary orders relevant from order 1 to order 2 and below thereon some rules. Territorial jurisdiction or peculiar jurisdiction, if the matter is pertaining to some immovable property, subject matter, where is it situated? So it's a very common, based on law is based on common sense. Normally it is said that every law may not be based on common sense, but every common sense is based on law. So a person of common prudence, so he should have the mode and manner and this much vigilance, wherefrom he will seek vindication of his grievance. So the order 1, rule 10, order 2 and 3 and 4, these are dealing with these all scenario. So the role of your advocate of your choice has started. So he should be aware of this fact. Then we'll again with the person. Now some amendments have also been introduced through the ordinance by the Governor of Punjab in section 26 and section 27B that as many as defendants you have arrayed in your plaint, because the matter starts, firstly you have to be, the aggrieved parties to the suit, who are the plaintiffs and who are the defendants. And then in this, it has been, through this ordinance, it has also been introduced that as many as defendants have been cited, the copies will be annexed. The whole documentary evidence in your possession at that very time when the suit is being instituted, which is said to be in Urdu pesh karda munhasara in a proper form. And the copies of those documents as well as the copies of the plaint. If the defendant is one, then one is sufficient. If two, then two, so forth, so on. And that, because earlier I have given a lecture available on YouTube pertaining to those latest amendments through the ordinance which was introduced in April 2020. So now we skip over to that. So then the process shall be initiated by the court which is seized of the matter. The authorized officer has received your plaint, the suit. Then summoning process shall be issued to the defendants. But what is the frame of the suit? In order to contemplate this fact, and this is in the relevant section, the first portion, you have to put forth your claim for redressal of your grievance through filing of that suit. That should not be in piecemeal. Whatever you want, you have to write down, means your lawyer who is providing you the legal assistance in the light of the documents which have been annexed with the plaint. So further, you cannot be given this opportunity that whenever you feel like that you have come forward with a partial claim. So the order 2 deals with the, that is called the, through the recognized agent. Anybody can. The pleader, your advocate is also your, when you have put your signature on the power of attorney, I am engaging this gentleman, so he is your recognized agent. Or anybody else who has been given that power. Normally the power of attorney is furnished in favor of some of your person because of your any physical disability, ailment, or any other issue. So who can also pursue the court case in the civil court, being your authorized. Those the detail has been mentioned in Order 3 of the Code of Civil Procedure. Who are the recognized agents? Recognized means whoever have been authorized by you. So now we come to the Order 4. Look at the scheme of the things, the sequence of the events. First of all, you have to, prepare your plaint for filing the suit in the court of competent jurisdiction, means the court which has the jurisdiction, where the subject matter is situated. Which court has the pecuniary jurisdiction? Because under Civil Code Ordinance 1962, now the amendment has also been introduced that if the matter is being dealt with by the civil judge third class, to what extent, what is the valuation of that very suit? Let's say if you intend to institute a suit for recovery of amount, to what extent that civil judge third class has the power, it has been enhanced. Similarly, civil judge 2 That has also been engrasped. That amendment has been introduced in the Civil Courts Ordinance 1962, which deals with the establishment of the courts. While civil judge first class, while dealing with the civil matter, has unlimited powers. Property may be worth of billions of rupees, crores of rupees. So he can. So these are the precautions. Those shall be adopted. But while framing the suit, it shall be kept in your mind. Some exceptions have been created under the code. What are those exceptions? Section 10. Well, earlier, if the matter is sub judice before the court, which is called res. Normally people say it's res, but it is a res. A res sub judice for the same cause of action between both the parties. Suppose your defendant means against whom you are intending to file a civil suit has already filed civil suit against you. Likewise, so then there would be a bar which has been created, bar to other suits. So there should be a clarity in unambiguous manner. If you are coming in the court, no list was pending regarding the same matter. Your suit shall not be entertained. Likewise, there is also section 11. What does it indicate? Res judicata. Meaning there is a barrier, there is a hurdle, because already between the same party on this similar material facts and substantial issues were also the same. That is why, in the preceding section, it has been postulated that come forward. If you intend to file a suit, come with the whole claim. But if it has already been decided, so it is not a joke with the system. Everybody is, whenever he feels comfortable, he is feeling in himself in very peace and ease, is coming and filing a suit. So this would also be kept in mind by the intending litigant as well as his lawyers, which was on the same issue between the same parties. Earlier, suit has been decided. That is res judicata. Sub judice pending, res judicata decided. So you must understand. Then it's very important. Normally it is said that there is also another bar. Even if any of the parties has obtained any decree from the court of competent jurisdiction, then no fresh suit shall be entered in. But mechanism has also been provided under section 12(2) subsection. And an application can be filed if a aggrieved person is of the firm view and considered opinion with the assistance of his pleader and advocate, and they are in a position to establish this fact that the matter has also already been adjudicated upon, but on the basis of playing fraud, misrepresentation. Court was not having the jurisdiction to entertain that matter. So some concealment of fact was made. The person was having interest and right and claim in that very property, subject matter, was not called in the court. So that is also kind of bar, mean bar of filing the suit. Application can be filed for setting aside that judgment and decree which has been obtained on the basis of fraud, misrepresentation, concealment of fact and warrant of jurisdiction. So likewise we move forward. Now what are the, where it has been mentioned how that plaint shall be drafted. What are the particulars of the pleadings? Pleadings are firstly of the plaintiff. Who has the cause of action? After taking into consideration the jurisdiction of the court, territorial because of subject matter, the valuation as I have told, pecuniary, then something has also been referred, very important. If the question of territorial jurisdiction is uncertain, then it is defendant decide. They can be, and if two different properties are lying in one court, in consolidated suit, one suit can be filed. Normally it happens in the suit for partition of urban properties. So these sort of some exceptions have also been created. Now when these situations have been crossed of framing of suit and etc. recognized agent and direction, then court is when satisfied that justiciable averments have been made out by the plaintiff, then the court which is seized of the matter shall issue the summoning, resort towards the summoning of the other party. And this aspect of the matter is also mentioned on the one hand, whereas as I have, you have to keep in mind very strongly, very vigorously. So these sections of first portion of the Code of Civil Procedure and the orders and rules contained in the second portion are inseparable. Those cannot be read in isolation. The only difference, that's why I have to repeat, so that you could instill in your mind, you could inculcate in your mind what these are these different steps, these are different stages. But those are in a very arranged manner. As the code was drafted, all the then available resources and the cultural scenario, the geographical situation, the social setup, the how to inform the other party about the filing of the suit and this because it provides absolute guidance to the lawyer, to the advocate who will plead the case, but stages are different. When the matter has been instituted and court has started applying its judicious mind strictly in accordance with law, under Article 4 of the Constitution of Islamic Republic, act in accordance with law. So for when we say act in accordance with law and the fair trial, then here also no one should be condemned unheard. Cases should not be proceeded ad ideum partem. This is the principle. No one should be condemned unheard. If a plaintiff has the cause of action, so why not the other person against whom that suit has been filed given an opportunity to to contest the suit, or he can admit even on the even first hearing if he appears. Or one of them, if there are 3 or 4 defendants, one can say, okay, ji, whatever has been claimed by the plaintiff through this suit, I admit. That is also mentioned in the relevant orders. So, they under, firstly, I was discussing particulars, name of the court at the top, then the particulars of the plaintiff, his name, his father name, his address, and against whom, the defendant, 1 or 2 or more. Their particulars should also be given, the available address, and title of the suit. Either it is a suit for specific performance of the contract, both the parties had entered into some agreement for sale or purchase of some property, a time was stipulated, amount was settled, what was the earnest money, what was the remaining money, what was the period. But if according to the version of the plaintiff, that defendant has committed default, he is not making compliance of that agreement, although he entered into that agreement with his free consent, being adult, with his own free will, without any coercion, without any other misgiving, without any misunderstanding, with clarity of thought. And that, Contract Act, we will discuss in some other lecture. There is a concept of free consent. What is free consent? When nobody is coerced. So likewise, so for the enforcement of that agreement and contract, which is a lawful, the plaintiff has preferred to file the suit. Brought many different, forms of the form and nature of the suits. So this is then it would be a material fact, but relevant fact with clarity. Neither evasive denial or evasive averments are not permissible under the law. This has been discussed in the relevant orders. So, this material fact, then what is next? There are as many as 9 features, contents of the as referred in order 6. Territorial jurisdiction, pecuniary jurisdiction. Court has the jurisdiction. We are not going to the wrong forum. Territorial jurisdiction means that if the subject matter and the property is situated at Bahawalpur, you are not allowed to file a suit at Multan, but of that, I said, partition suit, some rural property, that is possible in 2 cities if the properties are situated. So that is an exception. Otherwise, cause of action you have to make out. Then lastly, what relief you are seeking. If there is a dispute of title and you want declaration on the basis of your available evidence, and whatever the title documents are available with you, so or any title of the office can also be determined by the civil court. Civil court has the vast powers. When you will become judge, don't take yourself lightly. You will be having a very distinguished position in the society, because you are meant for, your position is meant for determination of the rights of the people in accordance with law. But compassion, empathy, dignified mode of performing your duties should be the, your characteristics. It is a service to the nation. It is service to the, oppressed litigants whose rights are being jeopardized by people of criminal propensities, big feudal lords, by people of affluence. So it's a great service. That's why I have very, wholeheartedly putting on this labor to guide you, to teach you. But let me admit here, I am also revising it. No loss to me. So things are so simple, but you have to study with a composed mind. You must trust in yourself. Be confident. Because I have referred this aspect of the matter of life in earlier lectures as well. Maybe when we started this profession as a lawyer first, then as a judge, we were confronted with some odd situations. No one guided us properly. I deem it my paramount duty. Believe you me, I don't have any other interest. None of my loved one is appearing for this exam, but everybody's. I love them, you all. I respect you all, young, energetic, vibrant people. You must add feather in your cap by having this kind of prestigious position, which would make you more, alhamdulillah, dignified and honorable. So, now we'll keep coming to that 6 material facts. I have told the summoning process that has also been discussed in order 5. So after now we are coming towards order examination of parties. So when the suit has been filed, summons have been issued, the person, if does not appear, then some other remedies are available, having effect of non-appearance. A person can be proceeded ex parte. Again, I'll reiterate, we will not go into nitty-gritty, you go through. But what does Order 10 speaks? That process of non-appearance and its consequences is contemplated under Order 9. While Order 8 deals with the filing of the written statement. Because this code not only guides the plaintiff who has instituted the suit, but defendant as well. How they have to submit their written statement, what is the defense, whoever is the counsel and advocate, be engaged by them, and the written statement is drafted. The Order 8 tells the preliminary objections can be made. This court has not having the jurisdiction, or the matter is something different. Reply on facts, whatever the facts and averments has been made out in that very plaint. So in the same sequence, the reply shall be submitted, and the prayer clause along with verification. Verification is also required in the plaint, in the suit. On such and such date, this contents are, according to my belief, correct and true, and are in accordance with law. So this is when we come 9. This is deals with Order 9 deals with effect of non-appearance. Even if the plaintiff, after filing of the suit, has gone into deep slumber, is not bothering, then the punitive measures are also there. Why are you wasting the time of the court? Similarly, in Order 7, we have already skipped over, there is also a provision which provides a remedy to the defendant. Even if he can file, but not after the amendment, it has been postulated that even if he seeks rejection of the plaint, so according to the counsel for the defendant, and they are of the considered opinion that the plaint is not disclosing the cause of action, The court has no jurisdiction. The requisite court fee has not been affixed. So these are, legal flaws which have not been allegedly complied with by the plaintiff at the time of drafting the suit. It is, analogous to section 249A, empowering the magistrate, and co-extensive and similar powers is vested with Sessions Code under section 265K, Criminal Procedure Code 1898, as well as under section 561A CRPC. We'll delve deep into those provisions when we'll discuss criminal law, but just for a reference, for your brainstorming, the Order 7, Rule 11 is similar to that of those provisions of criminal, wherein the FAR can be quashed. Case can be cancelled by the court at any stage, even if the charge is has been framed, or evidence to some extent has been recorded, or whole has been recorded. When the court that criminal court is convinced, having the jurisdiction, that can be same is the situation. So now, after amendment, that plea can be taken in the written statement. But if the separate application is filed under Order 7, Rule 11 by the defendant for rejection of the plaint, to nip the evil in the bud at the very infancy, at any stage. So this is also, law provides all the remedies. CPC does not mean the protracted litigation. Things should carry on unnecessarily. If court deems it appropriate, those sort of, penal provision rather can be exercised. A coercive kind of, why to waste time calling the witnesses and going further, recording the evidence. Ultimately, there is no likelihood of success of that very suit. So this I have almost up to those. So now Order 10 deals with examination of the parties. The defendant has appeared in compliance of the summons as contemplated under Order 5 and rules therein. But on the first day of hearing, he said, "Okay, sir, I have come in the court, but I admit the claim of the plaintiff." They may say, "I admit his claim partially or to some extent or as a whole." Yeah, this is similar to that when the plaintiff has to file the suit, as referred in the preceding section. He will come for the whole claim and would not be obliged to file this suit this time, and for remaining relief against the same party he is coming up with another. So multiplicity of litigation is also deprecated. It's not permissible. That is why 100 years back this code was drafted by some very intelligent intellectual brains. So they kept in their mind the purpose should be fair and speedy trial of the civil suit. That's why this very it's bulky, बड़ी ज़ख़ीम किताब है, Code of Civil Procedure, but don't be afraid of it. We young people, God has blessed us with this mind and brain, this power of grasping the things, the power of understanding everything. People have gone thinking of this artificial intelligence and going to space, exploring the universe, the galaxies. So, nothing is beyond your reach. Firstly, believe in yourself, be determined, create, self-confidence in yourself. So these sort of, in legal terminology, a word obiter dicta is used, which is normally relatable to the proceedings of the court. When even Honorable Superior Courts, while dealing with some matter, either some appeal or show motu pass, so they pass some remarks. This is kind of obiter dicta, and if you feel it cumbersome, you will excuse me. But my purpose is to keep you alive with your presence of mind, so that you could move with me. It's very easy. You'll hear my lecture. I'm also, consider me a student of law, but know a little more than you. What I know little more than you, I am imparting to you. I am sharing with you, so that you must not be disheartened at the very initial stage when you are planning to appear for the exam. And inshallah, by the 15th of, that is the deadline, 15th of July, you all ambitious and desirous and aspirant candidates would submit their admission forms who have are fulfilling the basic eligibility criteria. So that it can be admitted. When it can be admitted, accordingly the statement shall be recorded, and court would say. It is a different from the compromise as provided. Please don't confuse this order 10 of the code with order 23 and rules therein. That is a compromise. That can also be effected between the parties, but that too at any stage. Law provides to save the time. If some sanity has prevailed in the mind of both the parties, then the compromise can. But it is admission on the first hearing, and once they are at any stage, I admit the claim. Why to go further? So likewise, when we are talking of this 10, then okay, that if defendant is ready for that, then and the written statement has been filed, what is the next step for the court? Then order 14 shall come into play. What is that? Framing of issues, striking of issues. So whatever is the version as contained in the plaint, in the suit, instituted by the plaintiff against the one or more defendants, so and the documents have been relied upon, annexed as required in the summoning process, so that the other party should become aware of the filing of that suit, and then consultation with his lawyers if he is having some solid and justifiable grounds to contest the suit. So when we say order 10 admission, it means he realized his folly, he retraced his footsteps, that that house is in my possession, although I am not the owner of. Why to cause further mental anguish and disturbance to the plaintiff? So, sometimes when differences crop up between the parties, even in between the family members, and after some sort of skirmishes or controversy and dispute, sanity prevails after pondering over it later on. Normally it is, this situation happens with the spouses, very common. Then one says sorry. She says okay, all right. I was sentimental. I was emotional. You did not care for me. You did not bring this thing which I desired. You did not care for you. So this is in the society. It happens. No matter to worry. So that is why that admission is also provided under. But yet they have reached at this stage by filing the written statement defendant. They all contest. I have got a more strong case, and the counsel who has been engaged by him is also pacifying him and satisfying him. Oh, I've got a very good case. Firstly, we'll try to dislodge him, outclass him by filing a separate application under Order 7 Rule 11, which I have discussed. Rejection of the plaintiff, he is not having a good case. No cause of action. He has not fulfilled other legal requirements which have been contemplated under Order 7 Rule 11. So this can be. But when the contest is moving ahead, both the parties are stuck up with their particular stance on the basis of their available evidence, which will be later on produced in the court. So they may say, then the court would keep in view the pleadings of the parties and other material which is available, and issues shall be framed for holding the responsibility of both the parties, that which fact shall be proved by whom and who would cross-examine them. That is, normally we say, if the onus of proof initially is on plaintiff, then we will say OPP, onus of proof on plaintiff, and onus of to prove upon defendant. So accordingly the issues shall be framed. And now after the amendment, an issue has been framed within 30 days after appearance, the defendant has to file the written statement within 30 days, so that it should not be lingered on for unnecessarily. That has also order 9, for just for the sake of repetition, it deals with non-appearance. Even an application can be filed by the defendant. Why I am being proceeded ex parte? Because I could not appear because of some exigencies, some urgency, some ailment. If he is in a position to justify his non-appearance, then that itself court can revisit its order by entertaining that application. So it is in the same fashion the plaintiff, when he is not coming before the court, that is in the subsequent order 17, we will later on discuss 17.2 and 17.3. So if issues are framed, then within 7 days the copy shall be handed over, so that they could lead their evidence. First of all, after 1 week of framing of the issues, firstly the plaintiff shall be directed, okay, within 7 days you should submit certificate of your list of witnesses. That is, at the time of framing of issues, this is postulated, the list of witnesses. That is now the law has developed, and that is very penal type of, if somebody is not coming up with. So in this manner and in this fashion, the evidence shall be recorded firstly by the plaintiff, then the opportunity shall be granted in accordance with the procedure, admissibility and inadmissible evidence as contemplated in Kanuni Shahadat Order 1984. There is a whole legal mechanism for every matter, and when we'll discuss the Kanuni Shahadat Order in subsequent lectures, we'll go through the same. So then within after that evidence of plaintiff first, then the cross examination by the learned defense counsel, the counsel for the defendant, then the evidence, then the document shall also be got exhibited, which is are being relied upon. So I forgot, let me refer here. Section 30 is very important. Normally we don't use. So prior to that, there are section 22, withdrawal consolidation of suits. Section, if some suit is pending in one court, the other suit filed by the other party, and that is of almost identical nature, and then both the part that those suit can be consolidated by the district judge. We used to exercise these powers. And suit is another area that can be also in another province. 23, 24 is transfer of suit from one judge to another judge on the basis of any allegations of, God forbid, impartiality or any other extraneous consideration which is in the mind of either of the parties. So this is also provided. So just I'll revisit it. After all, I'm a human being. Although I believe in my mind, but things maybe sometime